Good morning everybody, a reasonably mild morning in March in London, and I've got 3 hours on the Thames foreshore to see what turns up. So a little bit of anticipation going on, and hopefully we'll find something interesting. At the moment we're on the North Bank. Here on the North Bank you can see the South Bank opposite, logically, and tide's still going out, so we've got miles and miles of lovely fresh foreshore. Last time I came here I went in this direction, so I think this time I'm probably going to head off in this direction and see what there is to be found. I mean, right away, having just got down here, you can see the stuff that the river's left behind. Nice little bit of painted pottery there. Bit of pipe stem just lying on the concrete there. And this I saw last time, which is about 1/4 of a millstone. You can see the grinding grooves cut into it, but I think that's probably a bit too big to put in my bag and take home. I think my wife might complain about that in the lounge. So we'll have a look around for something smaller to take home. Maybe archaeology of the future. You can see these little gas canisters all over the foreshore from people's legal highs. Not something I recommend or endorse. A couple of minutes in and there's a little bit of medieval pottery. Just see the thumbing along the base of the pot there, and the characteristic black specks of inclusions. So that'll be probably coarse borderware or one of the Surrey whiteware industries, and date to about 1350 to 1500. But I'll leave that one for someone else, I think. So typical foreshore view: clinker, rocks, shells, glass, tiles, pottery, bone, animal bone, plenty of that, more bone there, chalk. Chalk has been used as building material in the past. Pottery rim, post-medieval redware, stoneware. The base of something Victorian, I imagine. Bits of iron. Interesting bands on that piece of pottery. Glass. Probably quite recent, maybe chucked off a boat yesterday. That's an interesting bit of pottery there. Seems to have suffered a fresh break. Let's try and pull that out. That, to me, looks like a bit of German stoneware. Might be quite early, even late 15th or 16th century. Seems to have the look of the Siegberg pottery, hand thrown. You can see the marks inside. And it might come from, you know, like a a Jacoba canner or a funnel-necked beaker, something like that. I'll have a wash of it later and see what that turns out to be, but that's quite a nice find, the first keeper, I think. A little bit of blue and white here. No doubt something like a willow pattern, perhaps. Late Georgian, Victorian, transfer printed. Oh, just over here, there's a promising looking rim. Yep, that is a medieval pot rim, probably a cooking pot, I would guess. A very square profile rim, and you can see hopefully the inclusions there. There's quite a big one there. Bits of quartz and flint and other stuff. So that's quite a nice find. Again, 1350 to 1500, so straight back into medieval London. More stoneware. This one probably Victorian, I would think, by the sort of honey-coloured glaze on it. Again, that's probably also medieval. Surrey whiteware, white firing clay, buff. That's got a tiny bit of glaze on it there, yellowish glaze. The Surrey Whiteware Industries, Cheam, Farnborough, other places, they supplied up to a quarter of the pottery found in excavations in medieval London is from those industries, so very prolific industries. Interesting bit of transfer printed ware here, probably a chair. Be interesting to see what the whole design was. That bit's quite river worn, very smooth edges, been kicking around the foreshore for 100 or 200 years perhaps. Lots and lots of tile, bits of brick. Salt glazed stoneware. See this sort of speckled effect on it. This is probably Victorian, I would imagine. And a bit of plastic, so we'll take that up so that doesn't get washed out into the estuary. Take that with us, do our bit for the planet. Tiny and interesting piece of bone. I'm not a bone expert, but that obviously looks like it comes from quite a small animal rather than a large sheep, pig or cow, which you often find down here. This might even be a bird, it doesn't have to be an animal. More bones, the leg bone of some creature that was enjoyed by a Londoner years ago. More recent pottery. stoneware sticking out the foreshore there. Quite recent. A bit there. That I would say also is a German stoneware import. Probably the top of a beaker. So that probably 16th century, I would say. It seems to have that sort of ash spattering to the finish, which probably Siegberg in Germany. Very, very many of these were imported into the UK in the 15th and 16th centuries, but still a nice find. Thames clipper going past, so expect a tidal wave. That is quite an impressive wave actually. I'm glad I wasn't standing a bit closer there, or I might have got wet feet. Anyway, lots of different pottery, probably a ginger beer. 1880, 1920, these were at their most common. Oh, look, a little bit there. Tin glazed. So this is hand painted on a very, very pinkish fabric, which probably means it's quite early. Tin glazed ware, common from 1650 to 1770. Only a little bit, but that's still nice to see. I'll leave that there. Probably borderware with a yellow glaze on a white clay. Very, very, very common in London, 1550 to 1700. Mainly domestic pottery, pipkins and cooking vessels of all sorts. Salt glazed stoneware. As you'd expect, lots of post-medieval redware, very difficult to date. The ones with the grey core, which have been reduced, oxidised in the kiln, possibly earlier, they haven't been fired to such a high temperature, but they produced huge quantities of this sort of pottery, red clay with glaze, all the way through from the 16th century right up even to the 20th century, although it was coming less common by the 19th century, but very difficult to date because they're just very useful shapes and forms which didn't change much over time. I was going to say that was a tile, but the two holes do seem quite close together for a roof tile, so it may be some other draining sort of thing. Black glazed redware made in the Midlands, again difficult to date, all the way through from the 16th to the 18th century. Pretty little thing. Again, probably transfer printed. Salt glazed stoneware, probably from a Bartman jug or similar. So that's sort of, they call it a tiger glaze, more like a leopard to me. But this would be 16th or 17th century most likely. It'd be nice to find a face from a Bartman jug today, who knows, there might be one waiting for me. that's quite nice. You can see, you know, someone's finger as they've pushed out that little leg or little handle. They're again post-medieval redware, anything from the 16th to the 19th century. I don't normally pick up bones and look at them as an animal tooth. Ooh, a lovely handle there. A rod handle from a jug. Redware, a very grey core. So possibly an earlier piece, maybe 16th century perhaps. Sort of brown treacly glaze. I think they call this Rockingham glaze normally, so very Georgian, Victorian in date. What is this little thing here? That's a curious thing. It feels like bone, and it's obviously broken off. Maybe it's part of a comb. I'm not really sure. Bone combs used from medieval and post-medieval periods. It's an interesting find, just sitting there anyway. If it's a comb, I think all its little teeth have snapped off. Anyway, I'll take it home and wash it and see what I can discover about that. Another tooth there, maybe a cow or horse, who knows. Tiny bit of glazed pottery, possibly medieval. I would think probably again Surrey whiteware. Looks like it's got some inclusions in the clay. Oh, another little, lovely little handle there. Part of a rim and a handle, so the handle comes straight off the rim of the pot. That's quite nice. There seems to be a lot of medieval clay about this morning, which is not a bad thing. So another bit of cooking pot rim there, squared off profile, lots of inclusions. Surrey whiteware, 1350, 1500. Going out nicely, so at the low tide you can walk along below the revetment here, so let's head off in this direction.